Okay, so we're going to move into doing a body condition score on this horse here. So it's really important to keep in mind the breed of the horse as well, as they're going to have natural variations in their body, and so that can actually change how you might score them. So same as people, we deposit fat in different areas, horses do as well, and that's why we assess across all 6. So after you've had a general look at your horse and decided whether they're sitting at a body condition score of 4 or under, or 5 or above, based on whether you can see their ribs or not, the next thing you can do is move into actually condition scoring them. So we're going to look at each of those 6 areas that I pointed out before, and I'll just point out that it's really important when you're doing it to be feeling as you go, just because looks can be deceiving. So you might be able to look at your horse and think, yeah, that's just muscle, but when you actually feel it, it could be fat built up. And then the opposite can be true, say in winter. If your horse has quite a thick coat, they can look a lot more covered than they actually are. So we'll move into the assessment now. So I'm going to start by putting my fingers either side of his neck and slowly work my way down and see if I can feel any fat depositing along his neck. So if you can feel some fat along there, that indicates to you that they're in a bit of a higher body condition score, and they have that excess fat to start depositing along their neck. Whereas a lower body condition score is going to be quite firm, and you're not actually probably going to be able to feel that fat along there. Next, we're going to move down into his wither. So this is where considering the horse's breed comes into account as well. So Friesians, unlike thoroughbreds, don't have those really prominent withers. So I'm going to make a note of that when I'm assessing this area. Next, I'm going to move down into his back. So basically you want to be looking along their whole back, but really focusing on this area here. So for horses that are body condition score of 4 or under, they have what we call a negative crease in their back. So basically here you're there's no fat built up here. So that's where you see that more of that kind of shape in your horse like that. So, and then as they get to a bad body condition score of 4, 5 and 6, they tend to have more of a flat back. And then as you get 6 and above, you get what you call a positive crease in their back. So that's when you get a bit more of a fat build up here. So you can start to see a bit of a crease in their back. It's important to keep in mind that this can vary between breeds as well. So for example, your quarter horses are quite muscular, and so they will have that natural positive crease in their back, but it's actually muscle, not fat. So that's why it's important to be feeling if you can feel some fat deposited along there. So you want to kind of be feeling if there's a bit of like a spongy feel to their back there. So I'm going to move down to the tail head now, and again we're feeling for that spongy, if there's any of that spongy fat deposited along here. So in your higher body condition score horses, you are going to feel some of that spongy fat, whereas in your horses that are a bit of a lower body condition score, that's when you're going to see more of that triangle kind of look again, rather than that well-rounded rump and that spongy fat there as well. Okay, so for him, because I can feel a bit of that spongy fat along there, that's again going to indicate to me that he's a bit of a higher body condition score rather than lower. Alright, so next we're going to move up towards his neck and shoulders. So his neck blends quite nicely into his shoulders, which is a good indication of their condition as well. Then we're going to move to the fat that's deposited behind their shoulder. Again, this can vary on breeds as well. So some breeds of horses will deposit more fat behind their shoulders than others. So they're just like humans, we deposit fat in different areas. So here we want to again be feeling if you can feel any spongy fat, and this will probably be the softest fat that you would feel on their body. So again, he's quite spongy along there as well. I can feel a bit of fat deposited there. And then next I'm going to move into his ribs and see if I can feel how well I can feel them. So a good way is so that you're consistent is to come down and then as if you're going towards their hip. So his ribs are a little bit harder to feel, So again, that would indicate to me that is a bit of a higher condition, and I can feel a little bit of fat deposited between them. So overall, that would indicate to me that he is a higher body condition score. So I would probably place him about a 6, 6.5. I wouldn't quite say he's a 7 because he doesn't have a lot of fat deposited along his neck and withers, but does have a little bit more fat along his shoulder and along his ribs. So that's why I'd probably put him, in the middle there, 6 to 6.5. So being a 6 to 6.5, he may be a little bit overweight. So it would be worthwhile having a look at his diet and making sure that he's not being fed more than he needs for a horse that's in light work. But also coming into winter, it is okay to have a little bit more condition on them, as they may naturally lose a little bit of that in winter if they're not overfed and if they're not overworked.